A 7th main draw appearance for Keys. Had a couple of good runs in 2015 and 2016 to the 4th round. It's taken very good players to beat her, Serena Williams and Wozniacki respectively in 2015 and 2016.
We're going to see a lot of that today from Madison Keys. You saw that straight up the middle. She is working on that consistency, and when she's unsure, she goes to give herself big margin. She will go hard straight up the middle.
Did you catch any of her match, which was opening the night session on Tuesday against Pauline Parmentier of France?
I must admit a little bit, but I was on the bike at the gym, and it was kind of behind me, and I turn around every now and then. You know, every time you can do a little workout, your time is so limited. But I did see some. And Keys had a difficult time putting Parmentier away in that match, but in the end it was giving herself those margins, going for her shots, but trying not to overhit.
But strangely enough, it's interesting, the sort of the stats and the kind of little bits and pieces we get told, but that was her 9th victory against a Frenchwoman in a row. So clearly there is something about the French that Madison likes very much. Big moment for Bernarda. She doesn't get to play on too many of the grander stadiums across the globe. Maybe that will change. Made a big decision last year to go back to Lovro Rončević, who was her childhood coach back in Croatia, who she left at 16. And last year's ranking went from outside the world's top 300 to almost inside the world's 100. She was out on court 7, and they both were in very much the heat of the day, over 2 hours for a really fine win against Yulia Putintseva of Kazakhstan. That would have not been easy at all. So comes in here with a lot of confidence.
And that shows you something about her mettle in coming out the winner against a player like Putintseva, who makes you play a lot of balls, makes you work so hard. She is just one of those eager fighters, is Putintseva, so it certainly says a lot about Pera.
Yes, just going back to the Kazakh, I mean, she's the sort of player that will fist pump in the knock-up, and if she's struggling with you in the match, she can't beat you. She'll kind of arm wrestle you to the floor.
They're really nice 1-2 punch. That's what the lefty has to look to do. Pull your opponent out wide. She did that beautifully there, and especially against Keys. She wants to try to take advantage of the backhand, if you can say take advantage of it, but it's not the side that does as much damage as the forehand of Keys.
There's got to be a few there has to be a few nerves out there. I mean, this Louis Armstrong, it might be the 2nd stadium here, but you know, it's almost the size of Centre Court Wimbledon.
It's big.
And the Chatrier, the main court in Paris, it's over 14,000 it can seat. So it's a proper stadium. And I think very important for her to get herself safely aboard in this 2nd round match. Had a chat with Kathy Rinaldi this morning. He was up in our commentary boxes, and she said big difference with Bernarda this year, got herself a lot fitter, which has allowed her to stay in the point. She's now a top 100 player, so she feels much more confident, and she's been winning matches.
And that's absolutely true. If you talk to any of the players, that's what they'll tell you about Pera. She did get fit. She can stay out there. She's working points more. That she's playing much smarter tennis, learning to play within her own game.
Oh, that's what Keys can produce.
And that she did this on the run. Keys, I would say, is best when she's set up, but they're on the run, pulled off a shot like that, that forehand. It says a lot. The challenge for Pera is going to be dealing with the power of Keys. She dealt with it nicely in Charleston. That's the green clay, but on a hard court where it's quicker, a lot more challenging. Oh, beautiful. There are kickers, and then there are kickers, and that kicked out against a player that is not that tall.
Yes, that's in the stepladder department, isn't it? Keys looks very comfortable out here on these slightly slower courts than usual. In early stages, we are on serve in this opening set. Bernarda won't be afraid of taking on this. Although that is the 14th seed here, we almost feel this is a top 10 player when you're taking on Keys, because she actually beat a top 10 player in Jo Konta in the second round of the Australian Open. And she's really backed up well. She's won 10 main draw matches on the tour this year. But at least I think this will interest you. She's qualified for Madrid and Birmingham, and obviously qualified for Doha and Australian Open as well as tour match. She's played 20. She had 24 wins all in all on tour. That's a fair number in really your first main year.
And add to that in her young life, she's also won 8 ITF singles events. So you put it together, when you're playing those ITFs, the challengers, what you're getting is match experience, match after match. And it's important to not get in a situation where you play one match, you lose, you're out, you don't play a match for a week. When you're young, you've got to play continuous matches to really get match tough. And then you come out on tour and you start to win qualifying matches. So you're doing a lot of winning, and that's very important. Because there comes a time when your ranking gets into the 40s, the 50s, and you're getting into so many main draws, you can go through a period where all of a sudden you start losing matches because you're playing top players all the time, and you can go weeks and lose first round after first round, and you lose that match toughness. So I think it's very important for young players to play a lot of matches.
It's a good recovery from Pera off a very good return. And she certainly looks part of proceedings out here. This 23-year-old American, but very much born and grew up in Croatia. Sounds lovely where she where she's gone back there now. She practices in her hometown of Zador, right on the Adriatic coast.
Just beautiful.
It's a nice spot, isn't it? Don't forget to go to usopen.org. It's an app. You can download an app. Where can she treble keys out here?
Say that again.
Where can Bernarda treble keys out here?
You know, your English and my English, I thought you said where can she travel? I mean, she can travel. She travels all over the world. But no, forgive me. So if you watch Pera, and that last service game was very interesting because Pera, she only served in the 80s, but she moved the serve around. And that bothered Keys as much as serving maybe at 105, 110, just mixing things up. That's how she's going to bother Keys. Using the forehand, hitting some short angles, mixing in a couple high balls. The things that lefties can do, that's what she's got to take advantage of it. And what she's become better at in this last year, Pera, is taking advantage of her leftiness. That ability to move the ball around, to mix things up, to keep players at bay. And to know, and that shot illustrates it, that yes, I can take pace off, but when it comes down to it, I can step in and really go after my shots. And that presented itself, and she hit a mean forehand there. And when you play a Madison Keys, you know those types of shots are coming off a racket. She has that much power, that much strength, that she can hit clean winners.
It's a beautiful serve, and Keys certainly untroubled. We yet to have a break point on serve. Keys 3-2, first set. Thirty love. We just lost the scoreboard just for a moment. Be very interesting to see what happens if Pera can just push Keys with the scoreline 3-4 or 5-all. Keys has not played a lot of tennis this summer.
40 love.
Those situations become interesting when you've got the huge hitters like a Keys. We saw Muguruza lose, the big hitter losing to a player that made her play a lot of balls in the end. And that's what Pera is going to make Keys do. And just comfortably through that service game.
3 games.
Yes, from what you were saying, Elise, about Bernarda, she's a lovely name actually, isn't it? That she very much served her apprenticeship. It takes a long time these days to transition, unless you're a really top junior, from the girls' tennis into the women's tour. You're talking maybe 4 to 5 years, and that's really how Pera has been tracking.
15 love.
The players that take their time, that go through the school of hard knocks, that do it the right way, they're going to be in it for the long haul and prepared for the long haul.
30 love.
Just such easy power on that serve from Madison Keys.
Second game, keys.
Second love service game for the American number 2. And we are still
Keys
on
lead.
serve in this
4
opening
games
set.
to 3.
Keys leading
First
by
set.
4 games to 3.
Love 15.
That's just the 4th point that Pera has lost behind her serve. These two have been going very well in that department. Keys has only lost 3 behind her delivery. Just 1 point off her first serve and 2 off the second. It's extraordinary numbers.
That's really nice from Pera, and you're down love 15 and you're faced with a second serve, and she got a good enough second serve in that she wasn't put on the defensive.
And just what we saw there is exactly what Kathy Rinaldi, the American Fed Cup captain, was saying this morning, is that she's much better with her point construction. She's fitter, so she can stay in the trade and wait for the right ball to attack.
That's just beautiful from Keys and a little short from Pera there. But you watch the serving of Pera, and she's just, for the most part, serving very smartly. She's not going to knock you over with her serve, but her goal is to get into the point and start the point from the vantage point that she wants, to get control of the point the way she wants to control it. She's not going to knock Keys over. But look how she constructed that point. She got the nice serve in out wide. It wasn't a huge serve, but it got a shorter reply. And then she just started moving Keys around with her forehand, hitting a couple little short angles, hitting deep, mixing it up. That's what a lefty has to do, especially a lefty who's not as big a hitter as her opponent. And again, if you're Keys, it's so frustrating. She's not knocking me over. She's not putting that much on the serve, but I can't really do much with it.
Huge golf and experience here. And Lindsay, the champion in 1998, beat Martina Hingis in that final. She'll know that is Pera's just 8th Grand Slam match. That's nothing. That's baby steps.
Advantage Pera.
And they went for a little more on that first serve, Pera, and went out wide. That's not her comfortable serve, the one out wide in the deuce court. Much more comfortable sliding it up the tee.
Net first.
That one there in the ad court, that's the one she's going to be more at home with, trying to get it short in the court.
Deuce.
It's tough though, isn't it, at least, however well you're playing, to sustain it against the top players. looks as though she's calmed down a little as well. I've seen her play some matches this year where she's been very fiery when things haven't been going her way. It's good from Keys.
Advantage Keys.
If you're Keys, you've got to be ready to handle whatever Pera's throwing at you there. Threw in that little slice, and Keys just very calmly worked her way in and handled that.
It's taken almost half an hour to arrive at our first break point. It goes the way of Keys.
Deuce. Advantage Pera.
That's questionable decision making over the high part of the net, but that's her frustration. Pera is getting to her. The fact that she's playing consistently, that she's throwing in off-pace shots, making Keys feel uncomfortable.
Deuce.
And did everything right there, Pera. Got that little serve out wide, the slice out wide. Only 84 miles an hour. Had the opening, just didn't convert. But as you said, that might have frustrated her in the past. And look, she's getting right back to business.
Advantage Pera.
It's never easy, is it, playing a lefty? Well, I mean, lefties don't like playing lefties.
No, that's true too.
I'm looking at you for that. And actually, Madison's record against lefties since she's been on tour, she's lost more matches than she's won. 114, lost 16.
And that's much to do with the fact that her biggest shot is her forehand, and a lefty can get to a backhand better than anyone else.
Deuce.
Can work points to the backhand. Madison's backhand's very good, but it doesn't do the damage that her forehand does.
Long game midway through this opening set.
That's number 2. I think they handled that very well. That was 2 ads, 2 gimmies. She missed, and they're okay with it. At least they're showing that outwardly.
Great distribution once again from Pera as she saves the second break point in this game, and we go to a 6th deuce. Only game of this opening set that has gone to deuce.
It's one thing knowing what you need to do when you're a player like Pera, but executing, knowing that you got to throw in some hard, flat first serves. But can you execute? And there she did.
We've talked about mettle and the apprenticeship that she's served over the last few years on the lower circuits. Really gutsy hold there from Pera, saving those couple of break points. And we are level still in this opening set.
And you think about the 2 shots that Pera missed that game. One had short forehand, missed the easy, what looked to be 2 easy shots where you can get upset, you can get angry, you can lose your focus.
Please, we're waiting.
But she didn't, and that's all part of the maturation process that she clearly has gone through over this past year and a half.
Gentlemen, please.
Good see. You can stretch your legs there.
Maddie has played a couple of lefties this year, actually. Angelique Kerber twice, actually. Beat Angie once, lost once, and also beat Michaela Buzanescu, who is a very kind of Bernarda-like lefty. Really has that left hook.
And what a revelation Buzanescu's was this year, just emerging.
You talk about lefties and using their leftiness. You look at someone like a Katerina Makarova or even Angie Kerber, they don't really use it that much on the serve.
Well, we saw a throwback lefty using her leftiness against Sharapova. Patty Schneider coming back.
The lefty of all lefties. I like that, a throwback lefty.
At 39.
Oh, Pera making a very big move here.
Yep. And flattening the ball out.
And Keys will be kicking herself for not taking advantage of those couple of break points she had in Pera's last service game. Now the 14th seed having to face 2 break points of her own.
Pera knows she's got to make that return for Keys, just breathing a little easier, just getting a freebie.
What a response from 15-40 in that game. And Keys pushes ahead once more in this set. 5-4, the American leads.
5 games to 4. First set.
And for Pera, who's always down the game, every time she switches sides, she's been down the game. She's just handled it very calmly and very well against a player that's got more power than she's got, that's a bigger hitter, that at any moment could really blow her off the court with certain shots, but she hasn't allowed Keys to do that.
One double fault in successive service games now for Pera. And still, I am really impressed at her composure out here. You think of where she is, who she's playing against. Don't forget, making her debut in the main draw at the US Open. It's more power, isn't it, than anyone could know what to do with.
Right, right. And you're Pera, and you just have to say, okay, I left that a little short. That's not where I wanted it. When you're the lefty, you don't want to leave it in the middle. You've got to hook it over to that backhand side. You don't want to get caught.
Well, I'm afraid 70 miles an hour second serve in the middle of the box is not going to get the job done against one of the biggest strikers in women's tennis. And Keys rewarded here with set point. One break, that's all it's taken, and the 14th seed on her way now to a place in the third round. 6-4, she took the opening set. Very important game here for the 14th seed and last year's beaten finalist to keep the momentum up against a very tricky lefty. Only lost 2 points behind her first serve in that opening set.
For Pera, it's so important not to get down. She played an extremely good first set. Didn't come out on top, but certainly made Keys think, and she's got to stay with her in this second set.
Third love hold for Madison Keys in the second round match. And the American looking very strong out here on the Louis Armstrong. Have you had an actual chance to get out courtside at all, at least, and just take a really good look around this new stadium?
I did. Of course, I couldn't see because it was so hot that I was dripping sweat, and it was hard to see. I'm just kidding. Yes, and getting out to Armstrong, and it really, they did an amazing job. The architecture, the fact that there is somehow, however they worked it out, there is air in that stadium. However it circulates.
To me, when I walked around the middle section concourse, it's got that feeling of being at a basketball match or a baseball match where you can watch and then you can just go out, and right behind you are the burgers, the hot dogs,
yes,
the fries. You don't get that on the Ash. That point will have to be replayed. Something going Pera's way. Yes, on Ash, I'm sure. I mean, they put the roof on. It's been over $600 million they've spent. You know what? She's just asking as if it's her point, but I can't really see she's got a case here with Zhengwan. Yes, I mean, they spent so much money on this. I mean, $600 million.
Yeah, all these renovations.
And it's the same spot she's gonna. That's historical.
Well, it's keeping up with the Joneses when you're with the Grand Slams. Oh my goodness!
But the one area is behind Ash.
When they built the grandstand here a couple of years ago, the grandstand where you have that area, you almost have a lounge area where, but that you can look and you can look out onto the rest of the grounds. It was brilliant, and of course they went from grandstand and now the new Ash.
It's fabulous, and I love the way they've kept the terracotta as
New
well.
Armstrong,
the
yeah.
Armstrong. I love the way they've kept that. Yes, the grandstand over in the southwestern corner, back of this Billie Jean King USTA National Tennis Centre. It's a long name, isn't it? Love them to condense it. And that's over the Corona Park side, where we are now. We're over by the East Gate, and you might be able to hear the subway in the background. Anything you'd like to see Pera do a little more of in the second set?
Well, of course, I'd love to see her come in.
Apart from coming in, at least.
I'd like, I just love. Let me just see the volley. Let's see what you've got. But she's doing pretty much everything she can do. You can almost hear her thinking out there in terms of where should I serve. She doesn't have a huge serve, but she's served extremely well in mixing it up, using the wide one in the ad court, but still willing to go at the body and up the tee, mixing the forehand up with some little angles, but then flattening it out. It's about execution. She's playing a player that's better than she is, but that she can hang with because she can mix things up, because she is capable of throwing the odd shot in, and capable of frustrating Keys a bit. Keys has done a nice job not getting frustrated. And look at the depth there, and the fact that she can flatten the ball out. You don't think of Pera as necessary. You think of her more as a player that throws in angles, but we've seen her flatten balls out, and that's important for her, that she can look at the other across the net and say, hey, when it presents itself, I can go for some pretty big shots also.
Superb. I have to say, pan back over the campus here, and you can see some of the practice courts, and just bottom left of your picture, that's where the grandstand is. Grandstand and Armstrong used to be Siamese twins stuck together. Well, This feels like, well, it's pretty much the biggest sporting event in America.
North America, highest attended over a 2-week period. I sound like a man.
It's over 700,000, isn't it? I've got a feeling at some point it will hit the million mark. I'm sure that's the goal.
That's that. Throwing in the odd shot, the high, that was pretty much a high looper. That's just so good. And you watch Keys, and she really hits a straight ball. She just does it with so much power. That's just sensational.
Unplayable. She almost hits through it and across it
That's
at the same
true.
time.
True.
Well, Steffi used to hit it. First blemish on what has been a clean sheet so far.
But the expectations that Keys has dealt with, you said she came out when she was a teenager. The first time I saw her play, my reaction was, this is a player that's got to win a slam in her career.
But she's going the right way about it, and we remain on serve in this second set. Keys has taken the first.
Second set, 1-1 second.
She is a wonderful player, and she's a developing young woman in terms of her game, but she does not like to hit a conventional volley, does she? Goodness me, she makes life tough for herself here. That ball was dropping like a stone. First little reaction we've seen from Bernarda. Go on, at least get out there on tour and teach them a conventional volley. They're terrified of it, these youngsters.
You should have seen Mukova last night, though. You should have seen her playing Muguruza. She's really one of the first players I've seen in eons that has an incredible feel for the net, that comes in naturally, that volleys. I have to admit, I was in heaven just watching her play, just seeing a player that demonstrated that you can still do that in today's game. Even against a huge hitter, you can still come in, you can actually serve and volley.
That's maybe why at 22 she's had to come through the qualifying, was ranked outside the 200 in the world, because it's the game that takes longer.
Absolutely.
That's nice from Keys. Looking to make a little move in this game. You think of someone like Natalie Tozia, did not really play her best tennis until she was in her late 20s, early 30s.
The more options you have, the longer it can take to develop. And Federer, he didn't win a slam. He didn't win it in his teens. Nadal won the French at 19. Here's the sheer power. Pera didn't do enough with that one, and Keys made her pay the price.
Chance to break early on in this second set. Nice, very nice.
And that could have been a very tricky shot, but watch that right wrist of hers, how she used that wrist on that backhand to create that angle. That was wonderful.
Nice reaction. Seen a lot of very popular players out here this week. Madison is another one.
And if you're Pera and you see Keys and you see what she can do to you, and I can just hear her mind going, like, oh, I know I've got to mix it up, but goodness me, she's hitting so hard and flat at me.
Oh dear, and we can see why she hasn't pulled out the conventional volleys. And that might be the decisive break in this second set. Only needed one in the first. And Pera really struggling, having to play serve second in each set, and now really having to play catch up.
She's improved dramatically in this last year, moving into the top 100 to go even further. You can see an area that she can develop.
USOpen.org. It's a terrific website. You can watch the matches on the USOpen.org. And it also able to listen to them, and it has all the match scores there as well.
We're checking it all the time, USOpen.org. I'm on the app constantly.
Oh, that's worth a look. I'm very surprised. She hasn't wanted to go to the chase review.
Even though she missed it, she must have, look at that kick. That was Stozer-like.
She's enjoying these slower courts. Plenty of time to get those big swings back. This could be a good US Open for Maddie Keys.
That's a nice volley. Love the way she kept her racket head still, kept it in front of her. Low backhand volley. This could have been tricky coming up. Below the net, kept moving forward. Perfectly executed.
Well, this is a dramatic improvement from what we saw at Wimbledon, where she looked all over the place, losing to Evgenia Rudina of Russia in 3 sets. That was a horrible match. That's one you want to erase, isn't it, from your career sheet. Another very straightforward service game for Keys, and she extends her lead. She now is ahead by a set and 4-1.
12-13.
Well, there is a goal from their rankings. Keys, don't forget, Keys was 7 in the world just a couple of years ago, 14 now. Pera has only just really broken through this season into the top 100. And Madison certainly, I thought, managed her frustration very well in those opening sort of 8 and 9 games before she broke in the final game of that opening set, because she had chances. She was certainly had the better of the early part of that opening set and couldn't quite push through Pera.
Keys waited. You're absolutely right. She was patient. And then when that opportunity presented itself, she gets that break. And now she's just taken a complete stranglehold over the match. And it was almost like once she wrapped herself around it, she's just not letting go.
Yeah, her management out here, game management, has been very good. Chances here for the double break. Oh, lovely reaction.
And Pera right here, wait a minute, Pera got a little caught, but Keys had it. Oh no.
That's when you could just do with it, just taking one hand off. A little chip cross court would have done the job. Still got a break point in this game though.
Pera, you know how important this game is. Muttering a little to herself. Because she knows if I can stay in it, stay within a break, Keys can make errors. She could hand me a couple points, but not right now. And it's a horrible feeling if you're Pera right now, and you look across the net and you see Keys is just dialed in, and that is just sheer strength, sheer power, and there's nothing you can do at the moment to contend with it. Full of confidence is Keys. And that drop, this just adds insult to injury, overpowering, and then this, if you've got some touch too.
It's a lovely contrast, isn't
yes,
it?
oh my goodness. She
Generate.
needs to hold that until she needs it, and that she'll win so many points off of.
Oh dear. Just too much pressure build up on Pera, who played an excellent first set, but hasn't been able to live with Madison Keys in the second.
Keys leads 5-1, second set.
Well, Lindsay Davenport will be very glad she wasn't sitting in the player box. She may have been sitting in the player box, because it was exactly 2 years to the day that Madison Keys won her opening match at the US Open. It was over Alison Risk, and it finished at 1 o'clock 48 minutes past 1 in the morning, making it the latest finish in a women's match recorded in US Open history. Extraordinary. 2 hours and 25 minutes. Not today though, it's just over the hour, and Keys serving for a place in the third round.
Love your game.
Just a beautiful serve from Keys. Smooth motion. A lot of action. Hitting her spots, hitting her target.
Well, scheduled on paper, let's reiterate, on paper, it's the women's draw to meet Angelique Kerber in the fourth round. If she can finish here, this will be a very clean and polished performance from the 14th seed.
She didn't want to be that polished for you. Just got to put a little blemish in there. She didn't put Parmentier off that easily. Didn't get her off the court. And some of those match points the other night, first night that they played. And she doesn't want to mess around here. That's two gone.
Keys closes in style, and once again is through to the third round at the US Open.
Oh, that was impressive from Keys. Took a little while for her to adjust to the style of Pera, but once she did, she steamrolled through the end of the first set and this second set. And what a way to finish. Love that we saw those two drop shots at the end. It shows that she's thinking that she's got a little bit more than just power.